Welcome to another episode of Dude, I Love or Hate My New Ride. This is a show we do for you guys. We meet real owners with real vehicles so they can share their experiences and some of the knowledge from the real world with you so you can make your decision. But this is a very special episode because normally we do these in our studio, but the vehicle we have today doesn't fit in our studio or many other studios, in fact. And also at the end of this show, this is so special, I get to go for a ride in this truck with my new friend, Dan. Hey Dan, how you doing?
Nice to meet you, sir.
This is your 2017 Cascadia?
Yes, sir.
So tell me, how did this come about? Why did you buy this truck?
I was in the market for a used glider kit truck.
Okay.
2 years ago, round about the Valentine's Day mark.
Okay.
And I was going to buy an old Schneider National glider kit truck, and they're going for roughly about $65,000.
Okay. First, before I go on, can you explain what's the glider kit? What is that?
Well, a glider kit is basically you get a new shell of a truck, and 2 of the 3 have got to be remanufactured in order to be considered a glider.
Okay.
The engine, the transmissions, and the rear ends.
Okay.
So long as 2 of those 3 are remanufactured, it's a glider kit. Otherwise, it's a new truck.
Okay.
And when it comes down to factory, it's an incomplete truck. When it leaves the factory, it's still an incomplete truck until it gets to whoever finishes the truck out, be it you, a company, whoever. They put in 2 of those 3 remanufactured units, or all of them remanufactured in my case.
Okay.
And once it's complete, whatever engine that they put it in there, that is the emission level it has to meet from there on out. This one happens to be a 1999 model year Detroit Series 60, 12.7 liter, 500 horse, 1,550 foot-pound of torque rated.
Okay. And we'll get to the engine in a second, but I mean, this show is typically we do like consumer vehicles, cars or trucks.
Well, anyone can buy that.
Okay. So first of all, let's just kind of start with how did you find it? I mean, were you doing your research?
A lot
How
of
did you
it.
How did you get it?
Well, I had a load. I had a FedEx load for the company I was working for.
Okay.
And I was going through Des Moines, Iowa. Right there in Altoona is Harrison Truck Center. They are a Freightliner dealership. And they had this beautiful wrapped truck in the American flag, just like this, and it was a glider kit.
Okay.
And it was, I got some time between this load and the next load. Let's just go in, let's see. I've been researching gliders, and this is the ultimate because it's brand new. No one's ever driven it. No one's ever had to mess. I don't have to worry about some company driver that didn't know what they were doing 2 days in a job and blew the whole truck up.
Okay.
So abuse-wise, everything, it's only had one loose nut behind the wheel, me.
Okay.
So went in, let's see, can I get it? Going through, I've got this much to put down, good credit, decent work history, where the insurance would be okay, and I was able to do it. So I signed on a dotted line on Valentine's Day of 2017.
So it was love at first sight.
Yes, Gloria is glorious.
Her name is Gloria?
Gloria.
Okay, nice. So how much was it? I mean, what kind of the pricing are we talking about?
Before financing and everything else like that, $129,500.
So that's with the remanufactured parts?
That's everything.
All of it?
All together, go up to the truck. I want that truck, and they go, okay, here you go.
All right.
$129,500 plus taxes and everything else.
All right, well, let's open up the hood and kind of look at the engine, look at the guts.
No worries, bud.
All right. So you've been running trucks before this, before you got it 2 years ago, right?
Yes, sir. I've been running since April of 2011.
So tell me about the motor. Like, what do we have here?
Well, this is a Detroit diesel Series 60. It is a 12.7 liter or 775 cubic inch.
Okay.
Inline 6-cylinder, turbocharged. Now this is actually the smaller wastegated turbo. They do make a bigger one that they can put on as a performance model. And the D-Deck 3, this is a D-Deck 4. The D-Deck 3 model did not have a wastegated turbo.
Okay. What does that DDEC mean? Can you just explain that?
DDEC, it stands for Detroit Diesel Electronic Control.
Okay. So it's different generations of that. What's the power output approximately? Do you know?
It is rated at 500 horsepower
Okay.
and 1,550 foot-pounds of torque. The horsepower comes in at its governed 2,100 RPM.
Okay.
And the torque, which is something I love about Detroit's, it's a flat torque curve from about 12 to 1,600.
Okay.
So I've got about 1,550 foot-pounds of torque in that 400 RPM window, which is great because when you shift from one gear to the next, if you don't split half gears,
Okay.
400 RPM just so happens to be what it falls. So you're still right in your peak torque range.
Okay. And what's the transmission?
The transmission is a Eaton 13-speed rated
Yeah.
at 1,600 foot-pounds of torque. So it's
Okay.
got that extra 50 foot-pounds of you're safe.
Okay.
But
and
they always rate those conservatively.
I see. But so, I mean, this power level seems comparable to brand new trucks and brand new engines, right? I mean, it's within that range.
Yes, they are
Is
doing...
that fair to say?
Nowadays, yes, there they are.
So why do this? Is it just more affordable?
The reason I went for a glider kit versus a brand new truck is, unfortunately, as good as emissions equipment might be at cleaning up the air, unfortunately, they're just not quite reliable enough. They're getting there.
Okay.
They're getting to the point to where enough technicians know how to fix them without just throwing parts at them. So I wanted to avoid all that. I wanted to avoid breakdown because breakdown means time and money lost, no revenue coming in, and you can lose your business that way due to just picking the wrong truck.
Yeah.
So this was, I wasn't trying to skirt anything else other than just trying to have the least risky, most reliable power plant to drive my business.
Yeah, and how many miles do you put on a year,
I
approximately?
have averaged roughly 150,000 miles a year. This is 2 years old, actually just a smidge over 2 years. I've
Okay.
got 302,000 miles.
All right. Well, can you show me the inside, some of the controls, and
Yeah.
maybe we can go for a quick ride?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get inside. Now we're in your office.
Yes, sir.
So many people may not understand how to control the big rig. So first of all, like, what's like the starting procedure, or is it just no big deal?
You got a stick shift, you
Yep.
know how to start it.
There you
Push
go.
clutch in. Now, because it's a glider, you got to hold the key. And it's something with the gliders where it's got one module has to talk to another module and go, Hi,
Hi.
I'd like to start today.
Okay. There you go. It fires up.
And the difference between this clutch versus the clutch in your car or your pickup truck, if you got an older one, because sadly there's less and less manuals made every year.
Right.
Well, as a part of the Manual Preservation Society, that kind of makes me sad.
Yes.
In this clutch, you can hold about halfway and you've disengaged the clutch.
Okay.
If you push all the way down to the floor, you're actually into the clutch brake. And what the clutch brake is designed to do is to actually slow down the transmission itself so that way you can push it in gear without grinding. Because if you just let it go,
Yeah.
that's no bueno.
Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. So this is the manual. Explain kind of the high and low side on the gearing.
Well, on the low side, you have the solid and there's nothing in there.
Sure.
On a 13 speed, you've got low, 1, 2, 3, 4. Low is you're really heavy, you're on an incline, you want to go. And when you switch to the high side, then you can actually move the splitter back and forth. So you can go between, let's see, so you go to 4, you're in 5, go to 6, pull it back, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So it's not just moving a lever, you're also working the switch in the
Oh
back.
yeah, and the way they teach you when you're driving, when you're first learning how to drive, is to double clutch. I don't do that. The only time I really ever use this clutch is to start off and to stop, to keep from stalling out. Other than that, I float.
Okay.
And you're basically rev matching.
So there's 2,000 miles, right?
We are currently at 302,554.9.
You got air brakes.
Yes, sir.
So big rigs use air brakes. Explain that just briefly.
Well, there is a air compressor that is actually bolted on to the front of the engine, and it's actually run off of the crank and the cam. It's all tied into the same gearing. And actually, the water pump is gear driven as well. And once you build up pressure, and there is a governor. And that governor, once you hit a certain pressure, which for this truck is like 125, 130-ish, it'll pop off. It's usually where you hear the governor will pop off, the air dry, or well, you'll hear the and you stop building air.
Okay.
And that air will actually override the parking brake. On your parking brake, the way it works is there is an actual spring, and it is holding 60 pounds of pressure on your brakes to hold them applied, which is why 60 is just a little bit before where the red comes in, because once you hit
on
60,
that gauge,
yes, there's a secondary air pressure and a primary air pressure, and that's two different tanks. And if you get down to 60, them brakes are going on.
Yeah.
So bad things are going to happen quick.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be down there. 9 times out of 10, you don't want to be anywhere below 90. You start getting to 90 and you're not building pressure, you need to start worrying about it then before it gets to here, because then you're just out. A lot of stuff operates off of air. The trailer, the transmission, the brakes in the tractor,
and the trailer brakes,
the air suspension on the trailer and the tractor.
Yeah.
And roughly like 90 to 100 psi is where the governor will actually kick back in and start building pressure.
Well, let's go around the block and see what the experience is. By the way, when you get on the radio here, do you have what's your call sign?
Flapper. Because I got that in truck driving school because I had a 96 model Ranger where the exhaust, like a lot of stuff I own, was modified.
Okay.
I put the exhaust 90 degree into the bed, into a John Deere tractor muffler with a rain cap on there.
Okay. There you go.
That, and I wouldn't shut up, so...
Okay, I
was always talking, but
I
just for the sake of, we'll keep that off just for the moment.
Yeah.
But channel 19 is frequency 27185.
Okay.
Which is that's pretty much where it's kept all the time.
So what routes do you normally run, or does it depend?
It honestly, wherever the freight's paying the best.
Okay. So it doesn't matter.
It pretty much.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't matter for me is the state of California. And that's because of their emissions laws. My truck is not quite up to their high standard, and it's good on them. They've got their standards.
Yes.
But it doesn't really bother me that I can't go there. There's plenty of freight in the rest of the other 47 lower states, and I've been to every one of them.
So no Alaska then?
I have not been to, I'd love to drive to Alaska, and if I could figure out how to make this thing float, I'd drive to Hawaii too.
That'd be awesome. Do you run across the Rockies much? Like I-70, all that stuff?
I have not lately, but I do have a set of chains in the side box.
There you go, so you're ready.
Absolutely. Now remember how I was telling you about floating?
Yeah.
I'm not touching the clutch pedal. Get it out.
There you go, no clutch. You're floating. So when is it going to get paid off, this rig?
In about 4 more years, this son gun is...
Only 4 more, huh?
Just 4.
Would you do this again? Like buy a rig like this?
Yes, because the other thing that wound up happening as a result about 6 months after I purchased it is the rules regarding the logbooks and everything.
Yeah.
Because I have a 1999 year model engine, the way the rules as they are writ, I am capable of still running paper logbooks.
Okay.
Which I'm still following all the rules and everything. It's just given electronic versus paper, I'll take the paper.
When you looked at the Freightliner, did you consider other brands, or where you had your eye on this?
Oh, I actually had my eye on from Fitzgerald Glider Company out of Tennessee. They have a Kenworth T660.
Okay.
And I like the Kenworth because it's got that old school feel where you've got that narrow cab. It's like driving a small pickup truck.
Okay.
Up front, but in the back you got the nice sized bunk.
So you had your eye on the Kenworth, and
that would have been the most ideal setup to go with. But unfortunately, just wasn't.
It didn't work out.
No, it wasn't
Right.
in the cars. Believe it or not, a Kenworth is a much more expensive product than a Freightliner, for a variety of reasons. A lot of people are die-hard about their Peterbilts at Kenworth. I just need a truck that's reliable. Not a huge fan of Volvo because it's my opinion that they have too many electrical problems. So it's just tight turning, great riding, but other than that, that's where the positives end for me. This, there are millions of them. Mega fleets do the Freightliners. There are Cascadias in junkyards everywhere. So I can find parts for this for decades. I don't have, and that's a lot of what goes into buying something for me. Parts, spare parts.
And maintenance and everything.
Everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It goes into, if 20 years from now I want to put this on the road, am I going to have it? Is there going to be any support left? If you go to the TAs or the Petros, they're an actual Freightliner service point, so it's easy if I need something specialized for a Freightliner to get it a lot easier than everywhere else.
Well, thanks for coming by. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
All right. I'm gonna be a trucker for a day, and I'm gonna blow the horn. Watch out.